before I start reading what is in there, I just want to announce, which is kind of cool. So I read God in Neon, which is a story that I wrote back last year. Read in November, which is why I'm here. And this morning I signed a contract on my first full-length collection of stories, God in Neon. So that will come out on Lucky Bastard Press. So it's cool to be able to announce that on the day that I'm reading because of that story. So huzzah! And if Jesse wants to add anything to that, I will let him.
No.
Okay.
This is your moment, man.
So When You Cross That Line is a collection of stories based on Florida Man, and if any of y'all are not familiar with it, just type in Florida Man onto Google or Twitter or Reddit or really wherever. Florida Man is a collection of the stupidest and craziest shit that people in Florida do. It was pointed out to me that someone turned himself in for murdering his best invisible friend today or yesterday or whatever, so way to go, Florida. I went through those stories. They're infinitely interesting, and wrote a number of stories based on them. When You Cross That Line, both because of the literal sense of the state line of Florida. I am not from here, I am from New Jersey, so I had to cross into Florida to be here, literally. Yeah, Jersey! Except not really. No. But then also what it means to kind of go beyond crazy, which a lot of these people have. Just spend 15 minutes or so reading Florida Man. I'm going to read the title story, When You Cross That Line. So here we go. The rest stop sign promised fresh squeezed orange juice. It looked like a bird and cussed the word juice. I've been in the car since 6, driving down I-75 with absolutely nothing of interest to keep me awake. My friend Beth had sent coffee with me, but I'd finished it back near Macon. I needed something. Pulled up next to a busted Bronco. It was August and the heat and humidity dropped on me like a water balloon. I stayed inside as long as I could, watching families move in and out of the rest stop, taking pictures in front of the big Welcome to Florida sign. I didn't want to get back in the car, but I knew I had to. I was expected at my new apartment by 4 and had another 3 hours of driving at least. It took another 15 minutes for me to move. I watched the ripples bend reality outside the glass as I finished my cup of burnt coffee. The orange juice had tasted exactly like everything I'd had from a cardboard carton, and I wondered if that was an omen, that nothing was going to be new, despite my future employer's claims that moving to Florida was going to be the best career move of my life. Think of the beaches, my new boss Trevor had said over Skype. Think of the babes. I've been hired to write copy for a surf company. Think of the shark attacks, my roommate had said. Think of the old people. I tossed the styrofoam cup in the trash and began the short, hot trek to my car. A man leaned against the tailgate of a Subaru that was parked a few spots away. If he'd been there when I walked in, I hadn't seen him. There was what looked like a dog's neck cone wrapped in foil tied to the antenna of the car. I could also see stickers on the window advertising a political candidate that, to my knowledge, had killed someone. It gets weirder from here, I promise. Buy a gator, the man said as I walked by. He was old and the color of a burnt waffle. The skin on his face wrinkled in ways that drought grapes had never thought of. It took me a moment to realize the dark lines that spotted his cheek under a gray beard were a tattoo. He wore glasses without lenses. I stopped. Excuse me? Can I offer you a genuine Florida gator, he said, slower, like he knew I came from somewhere else. He spit and as he did, pulled the hatchback of his car open. The smell of the inside of an outhouse followed the door as it moved. Inside were 4 glass tanks and in each, 1.5 foot long alligators. I looked from the gators to the man and back. It looked like blood smeared on the inside of the glass, but it had long since turned brown. What sounded like church music played on the car stereo. No, I said, no thanks. You sure? I nodded. The man took a step toward me and pointed to the tattoo. I have it because I'm afraid of them. Excuse me? I felt sweat sliding down my spine, my armpits, everywhere. I wanted to be back inside. I wanted to be anywhere but near this guy. The man tapped the tattoo. His skin was stiff. You wouldn't think a trapper would be afraid of spiders, but sure enough, I am. My daddy called it immersion therapy. I made a non-committal sound and then nodded at him, starting to move off. A gator would be great for a proposal, he said. I stopped and turned back. I'm good. That's how I got my wife. Tied the ring on a nice ribbon around the belly and let it crawl over. She loved it. Said it was the nicest thing anyone had done. Ever. She's not with us anymore, God rest her soul. He put a hand to his heart and I stepped backward. As he pulled his hand away, I saw a Barbie doll head on a string around his neck. He matched his step. What do you say? I don't have a girlfriend, sorry. The man put his hand in the container closest to him and pulled a gator out. It moved slowly in his hand, slithering like its legless relatives. Its tail reminded me of a cat's. You could eat him too. Ate this little feller's sister just yesterday. You can buy this one now, save him for later. He stepped back, pulled a small spray bottle from a belt loop, and squeezed the trigger in the face of the gator. It stopped moving. The man held the spray bottle behind him and squeezed off a few shots, and I watched a balloon of mist erupt and fall across the tanks. Well, how about this? You ever held a gator? Something else, and I saw your plates. You're from up north. Don't have gators up there, no sir. Held the gator a little higher and closer to me. I cocked my head and looked at him and he smiled. We locked eyes and he laughed in my face. The man kept lifting and pushing the gator out at me as he spoke. From behind the elastic band that kept its mouth closed, the baby alligator clicked and squeaked like a radiation detector. I held my hands up. I could see beads of sweat falling down the divots between my fingers. I'm good, man, I said. I'm not asking you to buy it, son. I'm asking you to hold it. Have a real Florida experience right over the state line. That's what happens when you cross that line. You have Florida experiences. I bet none of your northern friends have ever held a gator. Be the first. He pushed on the word northern like it was an intruder. I could tell him that he was right, but I didn't want to hold that animal. I thought of the diseases it could have, and I thought about how I needed to leave. I took another step back. I don't have any room, man. My car's full up. Got all my stuff in there. The man put the gator down and appeared to chew on something. Touched his thumbs to each other finger on both hands as they hung at his sides. Took another step back as he held up a finger at me. All right, the man said, throwing his hands up. I'll be honest. I haven't necessarily come by these gators honest. I need to get rid of them. If I don't sell them, I'm going to have to kill them. I'm a man of God and nature, and I don't want to have to do that. Why take them in the first place? I'm just really looking for someone to help me out and all these families. Swung an arm around him. All these families wouldn't do. The kids would just kill him dead. Didn't you just say that's what you were going to do? Why does it matter? I told you, I'm trying to help these gators out. They deserved a good life. I've been backing up as we talked and I had made it to my car. A man followed. He picked up a gator again and held it at its side like a businessman would a briefcase. I looked over my shoulder at my car. I could see all my worldly possessions pushing against every window. The only space I'd have left was the driver's seat. When I turned back around, the man was looking too. He lingered on the spay and neuter sticker on the backseat window. I'll tell you what, he said. He was a foot away and he smelled like algae and patchouli. How about I help you with some of the stuff and you'll have the space for the gators. You don't even have to pay me. I'll just take some of those boxes and you take the gators. I shook my head. The guy made a move for the door handle and pulled it open. A box spilled out. I started to shout at him, but he met me nose to nose. You're going to take the goddamn gators. All the goddamn gators. No, I said. You deal with your own gators. Bent down to pick up the box and he grabbed a cardboard flap and pulled on it. He still had the gator in his free hand. That's not how this is going to work, he said. I'm going to take these boxes of your northern boy stuff and you're going to take these gators. I don't give a shit what you do with them after that. If you want to argue, I can get the gun that's sitting in my car. I don't go nowhere without a snub-nosed. Got gators after all. The man cackled and pulled again, and the box fell from my hands. He dragged the box behind him, and when he got to his car, tossed the baby alligator into a tank. I watched him, unable to move. I knew what was happening, but I couldn't force my legs. Couldn't get in the car like I knew I needed to and drive off. It was only books and bed sheets. I could do without them, I told myself, but I was frozen. The man was back and he had a tank in his arms. Set it down on my feet and leaned into my car to take another box. It's better add some good stuff in it, or I'll find you, he said under his breath as he moved past me. Vision of driving off and him shooting me in the head through the window flashed through my mind. Looked around, but no one seemed to be paying any attention. Not one man, woman, child, or damn dog seemed to notice the transaction that was going on. I swallowed and nodded. I had insurance. I had to call my parents. Take what you want, man. The man smiled. That's what I thought. He unloaded 2 more boxes, every once in a while saying something out loud about care of alligators. After he loaded 2 tanks worth of gators into my backseat and closed the door, tenderly, like he didn't want to disturb the reptiles he just put there, he turned back to me. I'm going to drive away and you're going to sit in your car and wait. You're going to count to 200 and then leave the plaza. If you call the cops, I will find you and feed you to these gators' lovely mamas and papas. You don't want that. They eat everything. He flicked me on the nose like I was a bad puppy and walked to his car, got in, and drove off. I sat in my own, heart pounding. I didn't know what all he'd taken, but I couldn't force myself to turn around. I smelled the gators behind me. They smelled like the reptile house at the Bronx Zoo. 1 or 2 hissed and clicked. I heard them scrape against each other. Finger shaking, I pulled up a map on my phone. I searched for state parks. I searched for swamps. I searched for anywhere that I could go where I could be alone and get rid of the gators. I wouldn't be able to live a normal life here, not ever again. Or at least not for a while. But they could if I let them. Thank you.